So, in the previous episode, episode 5, in case you missed it, I briefly mentioned that humanity sees itself as separate from nature. This is an idea that is founded in the worldview of the West, which has a heritage stemming from thousands of years of philosophy. Today, we're going to briefly look into what the dominant Western worldview is and where it comes from. My name is David. Welcome to Explore Forestry. I'm so excited to start discussing environmental ethics. It's one of my favorite topics to learn about. I also happen to think that it is very important to discuss these issues early on because so much historical context is rooted in our value system. Values are our beliefs, the way we see the world, and that informs our actions. So being able to understand why not only helps us to interpret past events, but also shine light on our present circumstances and what could happen in the future. I would like to preface this discussion by saying that any reference to a religion is not a condemnation or a condonement of those beliefs. I'm merely providing the overarching context to our value system, regardless of our specific and individual beliefs. Even if you do not practice a Western religion or any religion at all, it doesn't mean that it hasn't influenced the society you live in or shaped the values that you have been taught. I encourage you to try to focus on the concepts within the video instead of where they come from. So let's first define what a worldview is. Every person has their own set of beliefs and values. It's part of what makes us unique. These values can come from our experiences in life, the values that we were taught while growing up, and how the society you live in deals with different issues. Although we're all individual in our beliefs, many times these principles can be similar to other people, and that collective sense of morality is called a worldview. For example, most of us believe that it is wrong to murder, steal, cheat, etc. We may have different reasons why, but we all collectively agree on a general sense of right and wrong in these cases. In Western society, we have several different worldviews that inform our relationship to nature. Chief among these is the dominant Western worldview, but we also have the human exceptionalism paradigm and the new ecological paradigm. The chart in front of you will detail the differences between these worldviews, but the dominant Western worldview is the one we will focus on in this video, as it is the most prevalent to our everyday lives. The dominant Western worldview has this interesting dichotomy where science and religion tend to split. It is widely accepted that humans evolved from an ape-like mammal, yet humanity sees itself as separate from everything else in nature. How did that come to be? The dominant Western worldview has a beginning in one of the oldest and most influential books of all time, the Bible. Specifically, the story of Genesis, in which God grants dominion over his creation to humanity. There are 3 interpretations of this event, and if you're interested in learning more about these, I suggest you pick up a copy of Earth's Insights by J. Baird Callicott. This is a fascinating book that explores the relationship between humanity and nature from cultures all around the world. It's a little bit of a scholarly read, but I promise you will be amazed at the diversity of ways that humanity relates to the world around us. Back to our interpretations of Genesis. The first interpretation is named the Despotic interpretation. This view states that because humanity is made in God's image and was granted dominion over God's creation, there is no moral constraint to exploiting nature. Essentially, while God created the earth and all things on it, he passed control over to humanity to use as we want. This interpretation may feel familiar to you, even without the religious aspects, because humanity in many regards does act as if the earth is our property and all things on it belong to us to exploit however we see fit. These days, we may justify this by claiming superiority through intelligence and technology, but these are just new spins on a very old concept. The second interpretation is named the Stewardship interpretation. Here, God appoints humanity as a caretaker of his creation. We are not imbued with impunity. The earth is not our property to use, but our duty to maintain. If you're an environmentalist, this line of thought may also seem familiar. Stewardship is a large part of conservation, and it morally obligates humanity to respect the earth. However, there is a common link between the despotic and stewardship interpretations, and that is how humanity positions itself above nature. Whether it is in a morally absent role or a benefactory role, humanity separates itself from the rest of the world based on a belief that we are the dominant and most intelligent species, so the task of running the world falls to us. This brings us to our third and final interpretation, the citizenship interpretation. Here we are not separate from nature. In the Bible, Adam, the first human, is created from the dust of the earth. He, and therefore we, are derived from the same source of life as everything else. We are only part of an enormous mosaic. Again, without trying to delve too deeply into the religious aspects of this interpretation, Callcott explains that the eating of the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil allowed humanity to develop self-awareness, which in turn led humanity to trying to control the world around itself. It is our job to fight the urge to control and instead strive to balance ourselves within the context of the other life around us. The citizenship interpretation is likely to be the most abstract to many Western minds because it doesn't quite fit the narrative we've been told time and time again. Ultimately, this interpretation also contrasts to our base, self-preservationist mentality developed through evolution, because it would mean making decisions based on what is best for all of nature, regardless of how it affects humanity. This is a little different than the stewardship interpretation, which attempts to balance decisions based on what is best for humanity and nature. This is the first brick in the foundation of the dominant Western worldview. There are many developments that occurred over the centuries, from the writing of Genesis to today. From the ancient Greeks introducing the concepts of dualism and atomism, to Renaissance-era mechanical worldviews. We will be discussing these concepts in future videos, but for now it may be beneficial to explore the three interpretations of Genesis. Which seems correct to you, or are they all correct in different ways? Again, I'm not here to tell anyone what is morally right or wrong, but to present different ideas than maybe you've been exposed to before. Let me know what you think about these interpretations in the comments, and remember to keep on exploring. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to our Explore Forestry YouTube channel to receive updates when new videos are posted. Please also consider joining our Patreon so we may continue to bring you more videos like this. Patreon members are listed on each video, and other benefits can be found for the various tiers available. Lastly, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more updates. We appreciate your support and keep on exploring.